If I loved you.
So, Peter, Carousel is the best musical ever, right?
Well, there are those who say that, and certainly among the people who said that was Richard Rodgers, who wrote the music. It was all his favorite of all his shows. And we're not just talking about the Rodgers and Hammerstein shows. After all, he was writing shows in the 20s. So the Rodgers and Hart shows, some of which were big hits. Of all the shows, and don't forget, yet to come was certainly South Pacific, The King and I, and The Sound of Music. But Rodgers, when he was writing his memoir, Musical Stages, did say the Carousel was his all-time favorite. Well, it's funny. When I was a kid, I was a senior in high school, and I had just gotten my 100th original cast album. And I thought, I am going to pick a song from every show, and I'm going to put it in a list of how I think it ranks. My favorite, all down to my 100th favorite. And needless to say, if I was a senior in high school, this was a long time ago. And number one was the Soliloquy from Carousel. If I were to make up that list today, number one would be the Soliloquy from Carousel. I think it is the greatest achievement in musical theater. Partly because here's this guy robustly talking about the fact that he is going to have a son, and won't it be fun to have a son? But as he later realizes, it could be a girl. You can have fun with a son, but you've got to be a father to a girl. And suddenly he is thinking about responsibility. And while there is a slight cheat when Hammerstein at the end writes, I'll go out and make it, or steal it, or take it. I mean, stealing and taking is the same thing. But he is so resolute at the end. When he starts off being so happy, the way so many people are when they hear that they're expecting babies, there's that euphoria of you're happy and proud that you're having a kid. So the same type of thing happens there. He is just exuberant about my boy Bill. And indeed, when the reality hits him, suddenly the melody slows down, and Hammerstein made the lyrics slow it down until he gets resolute. And think of the emotional roller coaster there: joy, panic, resolve. I mean, that's amazing. And it really, I don't think, as I said before, it's ever been surpassed. I don't think it ever will be, frankly.
Tell me a little bit about Billy.
Yeah. uh, uh, my girlfriend says men want three things in life. Yes, they want love. Yes, they want lust. And yes, they want to be left alone. And I think that really encapsulates Billy a great deal. Yes, he is sexually attracted to her, to Julie, right from the get-go, and that gets him in trouble. And yes, he does love her. There is that moment when Mrs. Mullins, the Carousel owner, comes back and says, listen, you can have your job back, but you got to dump her because we need somebody single so that the girls who ride on the carousel think they have a chance with you. And he won't do it. And even though he's quite miserable at that point, and he loved his job, everybody in the universe should love the job as much as Billy loved being the barker on the carousel. And in fact, in Soliloquy, there's that marvelous moment when he talks about his kid's future. Maybe he'll bark for a carousel. Of course, it takes talent to do that well. Yes, a very good point. That's the way he sees it. So really, here's a man who is in love and is in lust, and yet, he does want to be left alone in certain situations. He doesn't want to go to that picnic and she's thrilled when he says he's going to go, but the reason he's going is because he's going to commit a crime. It's not the crime he expects to commit. He expects to steal or take, if you will. But what does happen, of course, is that he does wind up murdering somebody. And boy, at that point, he'd like to be left alone. And pretty soon he will be alone. He'll be alone. We assume in heaven, maybe. I mean, it's never really specified.
Peter Felicia's Broadway appears in every issue of the Broadway Maven's Weekly Blast.